Being Your Best You with Dr. Keir.
I'm exceptional, thank you. How are you today?
I'm so good.
Blocks to bold, brass to gold, better to best. We all get caught in mental mazes, believing that we have to live the way others see us, or being taught to think things through. Dr. Keir is an agent of change using Geotran human programming and activations to quickly and easily release people from the automatic patterns and inner glitches that block their healthy, wealthy, happy life. Instead of going where our innate circuitry takes us. Being in alignment with you is the best way to create your best life. Are you ready to be your best self? Being Your Best You with Dr. Keir. Welcome to the show.
Hello, and welcome back. Just so happy to see you, and hopefully you're happy to see me. Plus today, I have an extra special guest, Gill Kearney, who's joining us from overseas. Actually, I'm not 100% sure whether she is living in England or in Ireland, but she's going to tell us, I'm sure. The point is, I met Gill because she was doing some work in the Akashic Records, and it was recommended to me by my mentor, Ep5, and you've probably seen my interview with Ep5, which should have been aired before now. And I know a little bit about the Akashic Records through the work that I do with Geotran, because we say in Geotran that you actually live many lifetimes in one physical incarnation. So this to me explains why many of the people that I work with, I primarily work with women between the ages of 40 and 60, we kind of hit that midlife pivot. Yeah, well, if you've got kids, maybe the kids are grown or they're at university, or maybe you're married, maybe you're not, but perhaps the marriage isn't going 100% as you would like, because at the age of 40 or 50, we all have at that moment of thinking, wait a minute, there's got to be more to life, than I've been experiencing in my roles up to now. And these roles are mainly imposed on us by the people around us. So with Geotran, we're always clearing the past and resetting your now, and so that you can have the future that you are actually designed to have in accordance with your divine blueprint. Now, if you add to that the concept that you're actually living a number of different lifetimes within this one physical lifetime, you can see why looking at the Akashic Records is really important. Because the experiences that you have within a given sub-lifetime, as it were, will get implanted in your garden, so to speak, and they are going to sprout and grow in your next lifetime along. And that's what we call the Akashic Records. I mean, there are several other ways of looking at the Akashic Records, but that's one that I find helpful, and that connects the work that I'm doing with the work that Gill does. So I actually attended her latest workshop and felt just so wonderful afterwards that I knew that I had to introduce her to you. So when our lovely, lovely producer, Angie, comes on, Doc, she'll bring Gill on. And here she is. So clarify that for me, Gill. Where is it you live?
Yes, thank you for a lovely introduction. I'm in England.
You are
in the UK.
Right.
Yes, I'm in the county of West Sussex, so towards the south, not too far from London or Gatwick Airport. Many people will know kind of from there.
Mm-hmm. Right. So I almost don't know where to start with you, Gill. So I'm going to throw the ball back in your court, and I'm going to ask you how you got into this work. I mean, I presume that, like me, you started doing something else, like you
Yeah,
went to
so
university and what have you. So,
absolutely. So, yes, I totally resonated with your introduction there. Yes, I've got a background in corporate, in human resources here in the UK,
ah,
working in the public sector for 20 plus years. And it was a kind of a role that I fell into. I never really knew exactly what it was that I wanted to do. But I'd gone to university and I'd done a kind of a business studies, actually with international management. So I came out to the States for a year as part of my qualification, which I loved. And I had quite a lot of experience from that about employment law, about human resources, about organisational psychology and working with teams and that kind of thing. So it naturally fell to me that human resources was quite a good place to start. So I got a job in that, and then, like many people, worked very hard, striving and trying to go for the next promotion and the next level up, and
yeah.
did very well at that, working very hard, and got to a stage, I think, kind of like you were talking about midlife, where I was feeling like I was working very long hours. I was doing a 3-hour round trip commute, and I wasn't necessarily feeling as happy as I could be. It felt, when I thought about it, and I took a stop to kind of evaluate my life, I think, and taking a step back from that, what made me reevaluate my life was that we had, sadly, several friends and family members pass away in quite close succession, and some without much notice, so we didn't actually know that they were poorly. So, as these things do, of course, you take the time out to mourn them and to celebrate their life, but it also makes you take a step back and evaluate your life as well, doesn't it? So I did just that, and I realised that I wasn't happy exactly as I was. I felt like I was just sleepwalking through life, I suppose. I was waiting for the weekend, I was waiting for the holiday, and ultimately waiting for retirement to actually do the things that we loved and to have the time to actually be able to do that. And that to me just didn't feel right. It just made me think, life's too short. We are here to experience all sorts of things, and there's so much out in the world to experience. Why am I holding myself back and doing all of that? And I also felt at that time, I think there'd been a lot going on over the years, many change programs, as you can imagine, in the public sector here in the UK, as with everywhere, trying to do more with less money. And so we'd had an awful lot of restructures. There was a lot of stress around, and I didn't realise at the time that I was an empath. So I was literally taking on everybody else's stuff as well as my own emotions. And then, like we learned very early on, pushing it all down so that I didn't have to feel it and deal with it because it just felt too tough. So I kind of got to a stage where I felt like I was going to go pop if I didn't do something different and take some time out. And I was really lucky that at that point we had another change program come up, and I was able to apply for redundancy and to persuade them that although my job wasn't at risk, that there were a couple of ladies who really wanted to stay and I wanted to go, and so we were able to make a case for that to happen. So I kind of said to all of my friends and family, I'm just going to take 3 to 6 months out. I just need a little bit of time to rest, relax, rejuvenate, and to really decide what it is that I want to do going forward. And then, so I felt very excited about getting approved for redundancy and taking time out. And then when I actually got the redundancy and I was sat at home, I found that my brain just wouldn't shut off. I was trying to do a million things at the same time. I'd had, like everybody, I think, I had a massive to-do list that when you're working full-time and you've got a long commute, you just never get the chance to do you? So I'd thought, 3 to 6 months out, catching up with some reading, sitting in the sunshine, meeting up with friends and family, and getting through my massive to-do list would be amazing. But I found no, I was just feeling like I couldn't shut my brain off. I couldn't just sit and watch a movie or TV without trying to do 10 things at the same time, because that's how I'd kind of got through the day before, and I was just used to working on that kind of high level of adrenaline and getting stuff done. So I knew that I needed to do something different, and I needed to learn how to stop my mind clutter, if you like. Not that I thought of it in that way at the time. And at the point that I came to think that I should be going back to get another job and to start applying and going for interviews, I just felt really stuck and unenergized, unmotivated. And I just thought, I've got no clue what it is that I want to do. And the funny thing is, of course, I've been coaching people for years through human resources and what have you. And I could coach other people in that, but you can't always see what you can't see, can you? So I was lucky enough to see an old colleague had started her own coaching business, and that included energy kinesiology. Now, I know that you obviously know all about energy
I'm
kinesiology.
very keen on that.
Yeah, so I joined her group coaching program and learnt how to use energy kinesiology and to use the sway technique. So where you're using your body to go forwards for a yes and backwards for a no, for those viewers who aren't familiar with that. And I found that life-changing. I found that, there was a whole host of stuff that I'd just been carrying that I didn't know how to put down in terms of, the grief, the stress, the anxiety, all of those kind of things. And I was able to work through it and to start to feel so much lighter and brighter in myself, so much happier and more confident. And then that's been an evolving journey, if you like, because that's when I discovered the Akashic Records. The same coach that I'd been working with also taught the Akashic Records. And at that time, I didn't really know much about it, but I just knew in my innermost being that it was something that I needed to do, not only to learn how to open my own Akashic Records, but how to do that for my clients as well. And that was just a magical journey. So the first time I had my Akashic Records opened, it just felt like I'd come home. It felt overwhelmingly kind of full of love. It felt like I had sunshine on my face, like when, as the door was opening, as it were, and sunshine was streaming all over me. And it just felt, it felt a beautiful experience. And so I learned more about how to use the Akashic Records with clients to really help to get to the root of various issues. And okay. And so that was really, really life-changing. So I enjoyed using the Akashic Records. I found that I could get to things much quicker than I could with just the Akashic, with just energy kinesiology. But the two together are magical as well. So I went on a step further and I learnt something called the Helix method, which is another modality which incorporates energy kinesiology and also ancient psychology and energy alignment. And so I tend to mix the two together, and I teach my clients how to use the sway, the muscle testing, really empowering them to be able to use that for themselves and to see what's hiding out in their subconscious, because we don't necessarily know what's there. And so to be able to release those things that we haven't consciously decided that we want to believe, or the emotions that we're holding on to, perhaps, that we're not wanting to feel, I was able to use both the energy kinesiology and the Akashic Records to really start with that. So it's been a whole journey, if you like, in terms of using both of those tools then to help to declutter my energy field or my auric field, which of course is where we've got all of our thoughts, our beliefs, our emotions, our values, our identity. It's all hanging out there, isn't it? And it really impacts how we show up, how we act, the things that we do or the things that we don't do. So working with that and discovering that, and working with clients on, with that has been magical. And I think it was at that stage, as well as I was setting up my business with all of that, that I suddenly looked around and realised just how much physical clutter that we had as well. It kind of was coinciding with lockdown here in the UK, and of course all around the world we've been impacted by that. And so suddenly my husband was also working at home and I was working at home, and neither of us had really spent a lot of time at home before because we were both working a lot. So I joked with him that we've been in our home now for 9 years, and when this is our first home together, and when we first moved in together, we both came from 2 one-bedroom flats, or apartments as you call it, and yet we'd managed to fill a 3 kind of 4-bedroom house with all of our stuff. And then of course, as we've gone on, we've accumulated more. We've bought things for ourselves, and as happens, we've had gifts from friends and family, and then we've also had things that people have passed on. My husband tends to be very handy. He's an electrician and an engineer, and so people will pass things to him either that don't work or do work that they think he might like, because there's something mechanical or related to it. So we've just ended up with more stuff.
And that is a perfect analogy for the question that's on the screen. What are the Akashic Records?
Okay,
That's
so the Akashic Yeah, the Akashic records are, consider it to be different planes of existence, if you like, different levels of consciousness. It's the Sanskrit word is book of life. So I like to imagine it as the biggest library or Google search engine you can ever imagine in the Akashic realm, if you like. So literally we're all energy, and so we all have our own Akashic records. No one else can access our records without our express permission, because all got our own energetic vibrational frequency that will open them. So with our express permission, then someone else can open them for us if we don't know how to do that. And literally by opening our records, we've got access there to everything really, that, you know, every thought we've had, every action we've ever taken, every belief, you know, our memories, anything that's triggering us, anything. And depending what you believe from this life, past life, parallel lives, future lives, it's all available to us there. I'm a big believer in free will, so it just allows us to access the infinite possibilities and potential in terms of the future.
So in a way, for people perhaps maybe more familiar with, say, computers, the computer analogy is the one that I use a lot, is that, you know, we come here, we have hardware, we have software, and they have to be compatible with each other. And if, let's say you were one of the first people to buy a Mac computer 25, 30 years ago, whenever. Now, my first computer was in my second year of architecture school. Oh, I was so thankful for that. And it was an Amstrad. And the exciting choices you could make is whether to have one floppy disk drive, two floppy disk drives, or a 10 megabyte hard drive. Now, if you picture that computer still being functional now, then a good computer technician would be able to track back all the files, all the programs that you've been running in that computer, even the ones that you believe you have deleted or resolved. And in my work, we also look a lot at the impact that other people have on us. I don't know how far that goes in the Akashic records, but
absolutely, we do. We can't open anyone else's records.
No.
What we can do, of course, is see the impact that relationship has had on us, and more. I know you talk about projections, for example. So we are. At an unconscious or subconscious level, we actually, because we are energetic beings, as you know, we're sending out and receiving electromagnetic frequencies all the time, and we don't necessarily know that we're doing it. So we can very easily project thoughts or beliefs onto other people. And if you're a feeler like me, then I tend to feel it. So for example, that was the first time I kind of started to think about it, when I first went out into business and was doing the energy work, and I started posting on social media, and I could suddenly feel in my own energy field all of this stuff that just felt really uncomfortable, and I realized it wasn't my own, and that it was where people were reading my posts and perhaps not understanding or not agreeing with it, or just perhaps different thoughts that they were having. No, I couldn't necessarily feel what the thoughts were. I just could feel the projections and the energetic chords of that, if you like. So I learned very quickly that I needed to learn how to cleanse and clear my own energy field, that I needed to learn how to protect my energy, and also the energy of all of the things related to my business as well.
Exactly.
And it does make a huge difference, and I help clients with that as well, both for their business, for their own energy fields, and for the energy field of their home as well. Because
for
it all has an
empaths,
impact on us.
For empaths in particular, just learning some proper boundaries is going to make life so much easier and simpler. I am actually thankful that I am not an empath because that's taking on a lot. I mean, even non-empaths still take on a lot from the people around them, and a lot of my clients are empaths. So this whole boundary issue is one that I've really had to assist people with.
Absolutely,
Now,
because you become a people pleaser.
Well, there's that too. The plus side is that in the inner system, and I'm assuming this is true for the Akashic records, I don't know, you need to tell me this, but certainly the way I work with people, I've always been taught that there is no difference in terms of what your inner system registers between an actual experience, a fantasy, a dream, an intentional reworking of whatever that was. So, for example, one of the things that I do that also as a side benefit helps to clear the Akashic records is, let's say somebody when they were 8 years old, they got traumatized because their parents were in the next room having an argument, which has nothing to do with them, but all kids think that it's to do with them because they have no boundaries, or they have very thin boundaries. So what we can do is we can actually go back in the imagination and by our intention and change that situation, or at least allow the person to reinterpret it so that they understand it is not to do with them. And that way, the seed that might be planted in the Akashic records, just in my particular view of the Akashic records, is not just relating to past lives and parallel lives, but multiple lifetimes in this lifetime. So that seed never gets planted. And so in their next lifetime along, or the next one after that, they're not having to deal with the results. So the picture I give my clients is, look, we're going to go back over there, back to when you were 8. We're going to pull that plant up by the roots, like a dandelion. It's not that dandelions are bad. It's that that's not what you really want your garden to be growing.
Yes.
Which
and that's
we're in the
the
middle
thing.
of the dandelion season here, so it's very, very apropos.
Here as
So
well.
if we take care of the roots, the leaves and flowers will take care of themselves. That's
Exactly.
the impact on it, as I understand it.
And we can do similar in the Akashic records as well.
Yeah.
And we can at least ensure that we're, and even with energy kinesiology, I would work with people to ensure that they're removing the triggering of the amygdala, because actually that can be where you can really kind of start responding to similar events, and things trigger you from what's happened before. Without even necessarily knowing what it is and why it's triggering you. So yeah, we can do all of that, absolutely, and that has a huge impact on people. And I think people don't necessarily realize that between the ages of at least 0 and 7, you are literally like a sponge. You're absorbing everything that you hear and that you see and that you are part of. And so even just someone's comment to you when you're 3 years old, there isn't the filter. You literally just absorb it and take it on as your own, as if it's truth. And there's no filing system, if you like, if we're using the computer analogy. So we've just got it all in the subconscious. We don't know what's there necessarily. We can just see it in the way that we're presenting, or the actions that we're saying that we want to take, perhaps, and are then not taking. But there's usually something holding us back in our subconscious that we're not even aware of. So being able to dive into that and see what the root cause of that is, if we even need to know. We don't always need to know. Sometimes it is literally a case of releasing that memory and the triggering around it, and whatever it is that's holding us back, and releasing that completely, as you say, so that doesn't impact us going forward in this lifetime or future lifetimes, and so on.
Yeah, and I mean, the results, at least for me and for my clients, whether we're using my techniques or yours, it's all working in the subconscious. The subconscious is 90% of what we're doing and saying and thinking and believing. And so, if we can clear things up in there, whether it's by bringing them up to the surface or not, because I agree with you, we don't necessarily have to in fact, I'm so glad you brought that up, because one of the things I have apparently a lot of trouble conveying to my clients is that we don't always have to understand. Understanding is lovely. We like understanding. Understanding is a luxury, a beneficial luxury. But what's even more important is if we can change it.
Yes, and I think we can sometimes want to go down what my mentor would call an energetic rabbit hole. You can spend hours trying to find the root cause of something. I've seen people with energy kinesiology doing this for sure. Where you can spend hours knowing that it feels like there's something that's holding you back and trying to find out what it is without just getting to the heart of it and just clearing it. So I think sometimes, the great thing with the Akashic records is you can actually clear it, and then if you want to dive into it later to find out what it was all about, the records are still there, so it's available to you to still have that information if you like. It's just not impacting you, and it won't impact you going forward.
Indeed. So any anecdotes you'd like to share about, I'm sure you've had marvelous results, and I'm sure you would love to tell us some of them. So pile on
Well,
in there.
yeah, so I think each of my clients have been different. So some have really benefited from the physical decluttering. I quite often will start anything new I'm doing with a mental declutter, and I know clients have really benefited from that. I think what I've noticed with each and every one of my clients, whenever they're starting something new, whether that's stepping into a new coaching program or starting a new endeavor, whether it's a business or a creative project, whatever it might be, they tend to step into that and then suddenly get all of the overwhelm coming up. It's our monkey mind or our ego part of us, isn't it, trying to keep us safe and hold us back from doing something new and different. And so suddenly they all start seeing everything that needs to be done all at the same time, all kind of shouting at them, you know, all of the clutter or the house cleaning that needs to be done, whatever it might be. So I found a big thing really for clients was to help them with the mental declutter to start with as they're starting those, whatever a new endeavor it is, perhaps doing some physical decluttering, and then to start working on the energy field as well. And it just, a lot of people are working on different things, so they will have had different outcomes. For some, it's been just wanting to feel lighter and brighter and just being able to put down the old emotions and not to feel the grief or the stress or the anger or whatever it is that's been bubbling up for them. And of course, that's been a big one for many of us over the last few years with the pandemic. Of course, there's been a lot of fear, hasn't there, and anxiety and stress and worry. So to teach people the tools and techniques to be able to look after their own energy field and to be able to let go of all of that has been life-changing for some. And I do tend to work and attract empaths to me. So helping them actually to put down where they've absorbed other people's energy as well. I think many of us don't realise that because, of course, we're empaths when we're in the womb, so we're feeling what our mum's feeling without knowing that it's not ours. So we can get very confused about what's ours and what's not ours, and so we take it on and push it down as if it were our own. So helping people to have the emotional freedom, if you like, to actually notice what it is that they're feeling. To pay attention to it, because it's always showing us something, isn't it? It's always got a message for us rather than pushing it down. That way we can actually get rid of it and just let it go and take the lesson, see what it is that it's showing us without having to wait for it to get worse and then start shouting at us or kind of, you know, really hitting us over the head with something.
Oh, you know, I was talking to a colleague / client friend. It's a loose relationship. Just the other day, she broke her foot. And my first question was, what is the foot trying to tell you? And very understandably, nothing wrong with this gal, you know. She said, I don't know what you're asking me. I don't understand the question. But I was coming from the same place that you are there, which is that there, even when you're in pain, even when you have an accident, even when, like when I broke my leg 20 years ago, I was going to say nothing happens by accident, but I don't actually really believe that. What I do believe, I think there are such things as accidents, but I think most of the time it's our system trying to tell us something. And sometimes it's something that is inhibiting somebody's mobility. It can go in a couple of different directions, and therefore it's worth asking. I mean, it could be saying, don't go down that road. Or it could be saying, you are stuck in this particular path, and I am going to make you sit there and look at yourself until you figure this out.
And sometimes we've ignored the earlier signals, and so that can be the universe, of course, giving us the shove that we need to really stop and see it and pay attention to what it is that they've been trying to show us.
Absolutely.
And absolutely we can create our own reality. We've also got to be careful, of course, about not putting our own stories around it and making it a bigger thing perhaps than it necessarily is. But yes, I would always look at, well, okay, is there some learning here? Is it trying to show me something or tell me something? What is it that I need to be paying attention to here?
And you know, that's one of the things that I find really interesting and so helpful about muscle testing or energetic kinesiology is that if you ask the right questions, Yeah,
Questions are everything.
then you can get a lot of insight. Sometimes the right question is this the right question?
Yeah.
What's the best question here?
Yes.
So I hear what you're saying, and I've certainly seen it myself with people, going down that rabbit hole unnecessarily.
Yeah.
And sometimes that's where you can use the kinesiology to say, wait a minute, is this really the direction that's going to get me the information that I need? Is this the question that me in the now that's the most beneficial for me in the now?
And
Yeah,
I will certainly ask, and do I need to know any more? So that's a great question
exactly.
as well. And if I get a no, then I know that I've got enough to be able to release it, and I don't
Yeah,
need to know any more in the here and now moment to be able to release it.
yeah.
And then that's a far quicker way then, rather than keep going, because we can be very curious beings, can't we? And we want to know what's causing it. So we can ask far more questions than we need to in that
Yeah,
given moment, for sure.
yeah.
And part of that is, as well, can be resistance in terms of
Oh
letting it
yes,
fully go. So it
yes,
keeps us safe by asking the questions and going
yeah,
further and further down that rabbit hole, rather than
absolutely.
allowing ourselves the
Yeah.
healing and just the letting go.
There was a question a moment ago. I don't know if you saw it on your screen, which was, as an alchemist, how can see there it is again. As an alchemist, how do you help me find my energy field?
Okay,
Is
so
is that a good question for you?
so your energy field is literally your auric field, or some people call it your human Wi-Fi. So literally, I say to people, look, if you stick your arms out, as far as they'll go, and then kind of just move them around, you kind of tend to have a good feel of your energy field is at least that big. And the more energy work you do, it kind of tends to get bigger as well. And so just even noticing what your energy field is rubbing up against when you're out and about. If you're sitting in a cafe, or you're going to the theatre, or you're sitting on public transport, your energy field is rubbing up against everybody else's. And the
Yep.
same too in your home or in a workspace. You'll be your energy field will be rubbing up against furniture or walls or all sorts of things. So knowing that this is where everything hangs out in terms of your thoughts, your beliefs, your emotions, your identity, all of the things. If you're walking past other people, it's very easy then to pick up some of their negative thought entities, and just to then, I can get home from a walk out in nature and have passed a couple of people perhaps, and I get through the front door and I should feel really uplifted because it was a really gorgeous walk, but I can feel a bit down and a bit sad, and I'm thinking, why am I now feeling like this? And I realise that it's not my own thing. So learning to cleanse and clear your energy and to protect your energy so you're not picking up other people's energy in that way, is a big thing. So yes, I do help clients with that, and to cleanse and clear their energy as well, so that they're, because you only want to be hanging out there what is yours, to start with, to work on, and then we can be much more conscious as well when it comes to things like beliefs. So releasing any of the limiting beliefs that are holding you back from your energy field as well.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm saying this to all the empaths who are listening right now. Please be a little more cautious about who you let into your home. Yeah. I have mice right here in my house here in the Midwest. And they don't really get in my way that much.
Yeah.
But I know they're there because they leave little mouse droppings.
Yes.
Right? You do not want somebody else's mouse droppings in your home space. Well, you don't really want them anywhere, let's face it, but especially in your home space, because that's where you are hopefully going to find sanctuary and it be peaceful and calm and supportive to you.
Yeah.
And here's something that this is one of the reasons I work with people all the time about getting them back to being who they are in the now, especially empaths, because the more you know who you are, the easier it is to see where you end and the other person begins. And then the easier it becomes to say, well, hang on a minute, that wasn't actually me. I don't have to carry that around with me for the rest of the day. It's not me.
Absolutely. It can take practice,
Oh,
but
yeah.
then it comes easier the more you do it. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Having those boundaries, knowing what's yours to deal with and what's not. Yeah, absolutely. And our homes, definitely, you're right, they have a huge impact on us as well. and also the past owners of our homes, the past people that have lived here in
Exactly.
our homes. You know, you can potentially see arguments happening in the same area of your home if you don't cleanse and clear the energy of your home, because those negative energies are impacted, you know, in terms of the walls, the floors, the spaces. It all takes on the negative energy.
Really true.
So cleansing and clearing all of that is a good thing, particularly for empaths, but for all of us, absolutely. Yeah.
Actually, people don't tend to. I'm so glad you said all that, because people don't tend to realize the energetic impact of objects, especially if
Yes.
it's an object of sentimental value. Yeah.
Ah,
So
absolutely.
anything that you look like a photograph, like
Yeah.
a gift, yeah, that's actually holding the energy of
Well,
whoever's in the photograph, whoever gave you the gift. And
everything is.
that
Yeah,
may not
absolutely.
actually be beneficial energy for you. It's worth checking it every time. And that's where the muscle
Absolutely.
testing is so helpful.
Absolutely, and that's what I teach people, to use the energy kinesiology so they can do the muscle testing on various items in their home. And also it
Exactly.
helps people to declutter, because some people actually won't declutter items because they've got that emotional attachment to it,
Exactly.
or energetic cords attached to it. So just literally releasing the energy from it, and from themselves, helps them to make a clean decision, if you like, in terms of, is this something that I really love and want to keep? Does it serve me? Am I going to use it in future? But yeah, everything has energy. So I remember when I first started training with the Helix method, with energy kinesiology and more, we did an exercise where we looked at various pieces of jewelry. Now I found that my engagement ring, I took it off and felt the difference when I left my engagement ring off, and I had to cleanse and clear the energy of the stones. Because if you think that actually, so I've got a sapphire with diamonds around it.
Oh, nice.
If you think
I
of
know just what you mean. This is a white sapphire. I don't
lovely,
know how well you can see it. White
beautiful, yeah.
sapphire with diamonds. I'm so with you.
Oh, mine's the blue.
Lovely.
but
Uh-huh.
but of course you've had the people that have mined the stones, that have handled the stones. You've had the jewelers that have dealt with it. So lots of different people potentially with their own energy and potentially their projections onto the items. And actually that can make you feel more negative in your energy just by wearing that on a daily basis. And I
Absolutely.
never used to take it off. So to take it off and then cleanse and clear it and then put it back on just felt completely different. So yeah, I definitely
Absolutely.
advise people to look at their items around them in their home,
Right.
as well as their
So
house.
someone is bringing up the very intelligent question, how do I cleanse negativity?
There's so many ways. Yeah. So some people will start with opening doors and windows. That can be a great way of allowing the old chi or energy out, because we don't want stagnant energy in our home. It's just like having a glass of water, for example, on the window ledge and leaving it there. The energy of the home can kind of feel stagnant like that. So literally just doing that can be helpful. Some people will use smudging with sage or sage spray.
Rose is very good for that too. Rose.
Yeah, or salapanto, the wood, and burning a bit of that can be good. I tend to do it in different ways. So I'll use energy kinesiology and actually release the negative energies from the room and different places in the room, or from the different items. I also use a bit of angel energy and call in the angels and help them to cleanse and clear the space as well, which is beautiful. And I can also open the Akashic records of your home or your business, or yourself as well. So I can do it through the Akashic records as well, and calling in whatever we need there in terms of support to do that.
And it was your statement. Well, Aoife put me onto it that you were doing that Akashic record cleansing for the business that
Yes.
made me sort of go, oh, because I've known about the records for a long time. I have worked with a couple of other people, but I've always assumed that it was just for the person.
Yeah,
It
no,
just
because
never even
everything's
occurred to
energy.
me.
Yeah, your business has got its own consciousness, your home's got its own
Absolutely.
consciousness. So it will be linked to you, absolutely, because, we infuse our business with our own energies, don't we? So
Yes, we do.
that really impacts that. So what we believe, our limiting beliefs, will definitely impact how we do in our business. But it also has its own energy field, if you like, as well. And so other people projecting onto our business, onto our social media posts, onto our emails, our DMs, whatever it might be, our lives, our TV shows or podcasts, can actually impact the energy of our business, because it's not just our energy that's infused into it then, it's perhaps
Yes.
other people's, and that can make it feel quite wonky. And of course what we want to do is to have our clients magnetized to us, and to be attracted by our energy and what it is that we're offering, rather than feeling the wonky energy, which could make them stop and think
Yes.
twice.
Yes.
So looking after the energy of your business absolutely has a big impact in that way. Yeah. And as
So-
empaths particularly, so that you're not taking it
Oh,
on as well through your business
yeah.
into your energy field as well.
So if I can just mention on your behalf to our listeners, if this is attracting you, oh dear listener, I happen to know that Gill is actually offering 3 different types of clearings right at the moment. So, and I think I've got this right. Business, obviously, personal,
Yes.
and is the third one your
The
home?
home.
Is it?
Yes, that's it.
Yeah. Can you tell our listeners a little bit more about those 3
Yeah, so the 3 offers
offerings?
I've got at the moment are recordings. These are live sessions that I've done previously that you can purchase now if you wanted to. They're 60 minutes each, and literally what we do is it's a group offer. So it meant that we opened the records. We'll open your records. I'd ask for your permission to open your records. And even though the live has taken place, it works equally as well for you whenever
Really
you're doing
does.
it. So you can come back to it and do it again and again and again. So once you get it, it comes direct to your inbox, and then you've got access to use it again. So I'd ask for your permission to open your records. We do a short grounding exercise to ensure that you're fully grounded and in the present moment. And then I open your records, and we work with your energy. So the personal attunement is really going through your energetic structures, cleansing and clearing your energy field, your auric field, cleansing and clearing your chakras, your meridians, ensuring that your assemblage point is in the optimal place for health and wellness and manifesting, those kind of things, ensuring that your yin and your yang energy are in balance. We kind of do all of that in the 60 minutes together. So that feels like a bit of a spa session on steroids, if you like. It feels like you've had an awful lot just in an hour. That can feel beautiful.
Yeah.
The home attunement, literally, we just work with the energy of your home, and there's cleansing and clearing of the energetic structures of your home. We call in the angels for that as well, and they come and cleanse and clear your home. So that feels really beautiful. And I worked with Mother Earth and Father Sky in that one as well. So doing some work on the land. And then for your business attunement, again, 60 minutes, asking for your permission to open your records, and then also asking for your permission to open your business's records as well. And we cleanse and clear the energetic structures of your business, and where you've projected things onto other people, we release that. And then where things have been projected onto you and onto your business, we release all of that as well. So giving all of it a good spring clean, if you like, so that it just feels lovely. And with the business one, we also align it so that we align your wealth blueprints, your soul's blueprints, and that of your business, so that actually you are in alignment on that. Now, of course, we can dive deeper when it's one-to-one. So when I'm working on a one-to-one basis, we can ask all sorts of questions and work on whichever area of your life that you're wanting to go deeper on. And then, of course, we can do more there as well.
Yeah.
Kind of person's energy.
Become more negative as they age? Great question.
That is a great question. I think what can happen is that we accumulate it. So if you think that we are the sum of everything that we're consuming, that includes not only what we're eating and what we're drinking, but what we consume on television or the radio. There's been a lot of negativity, hasn't there, on the news. I stopped listening to the news a few years ago because it just was so negative. And I had to cleanse and clear my energy so regularly after I was watching anything like that. And with the people that we're with, our own negative thoughts. And actually I found as well that the more we have the same negative thoughts, they become beliefs. And from an energetic perspective, it feels like you can have a great big weight at the back of your neck, which is a negative thought entity that just builds up and builds up and builds up the more times that you're having that. So of course, with age, if you're not cleansing and clearing all of that, then it feels like it weighs you down more, I think.
Yes. Yes, this is what we experience very much in the Jitram world as well.
Yeah.
Completely get what you're saying, you know, there's a graphic that I showed at the last program, I seem to recall, where if you picture that your human self is this triangle, or well, pyramid
Yes.
really,
Pyramid.
right?
Yeah.
And then your God self is a matching pyramid pointing
Yeah.
down. Our whole aim here, yours and mine, I think,
Yeah.
is to get you back to being yourself and back into complete alignment with both pyramids so that they come together as a Star of David. That's the symbol of the Star of David. But my experience is that pretty much every human being is very choked up in that middle level of the point up pyramid. So you have the physical on the bottom, you have the soul level in the middle, which is what you think, feel, believe, and desire. And then you have the spirit in the pointy bit.
Yeah.
The spirit's always fine. The spirit doesn't normally need any adjustment, but oh my, that soul level. Thank you so much, Angie. Our wonderful producer has found the graphic. I appreciate that. So you see, I mean, I'm calling them imprints, but there are lots of words for the things that block your soul level. Your
Yeah,
own
absolutely.
or somebody else's toxic beliefs, toxic experiences, toxic emotions, toxic thoughts,
Yeah.
negative thinking. Yeah.
Yeah.
So when you notice, especially as an empath, when you're around someone who's got a lot of that negativity going on at the soul level, that's going to weigh you down. And then the spirit, you know, may have some inspired vision that should be telling your soul level what to think, feel, believe, and desire. And that in turn is going to create or attract or be attracted to your physical conditions. But if you're all choked up in that middle level, then it's like having other people's books in your library.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Instead of you reading the books that you're here to read and to write and embody,
Yeah.
you know, that information. So I think the work that you're doing is just so valuable. And I
Thank
believe
you.
people can work with you one-to-one as well. Is that not correct?
Yeah, absolutely. Yes. I've shared all the details with you. So there's a Linktree link to how to work with me if anyone's interested in finding out more. Yeah, I do one-to-one sessions or a bundle of 6 sessions when you know that you want to work deeper on something. Yeah, so do reach out if you're interested.
Yeah, well, this is just so helpful. And look, we still got a few minutes. So what are we going to talk about? Is there anything that you feel inspired and that checks for you? And I mean, in the kinesiology sense, is there any quick little refresh that you can do for us, for me, for the people listening, if it checks for you, of course?
Yeah, well, so my habit certainly, I talk to my clients about trying to make things simple and easy so that they can put it into their everyday life, because we don't necessarily want to spend hours looking after our energy if we're
Indeed.
busy running our day-to-day lives as well. So for me, a kind of a quick tool and tip perhaps would be what I call the waterfall technique. Which literally I will do when I first get up in the morning. So I like habit stacking to remember to do things. Which just literally for the viewers means that I stack it with another habit that's already in place to make something into a new habit.
Idea.
Yeah, so when I take a shower first thing in the morning, I will use the waterfall technique. So that's where I've habit stacked it. When I literally come in from outside, and I'm taking my shoes off or my coat or putting my handbag down, I'll habit stack it and do it then as well. And when I come off a call, the first thing I will do is cleanse and clear my energy. So I use the waterfall technique. So literally just imagining your soul star chakra, which is about 18 inches above your head, and just imagining a beautiful light white green waterfall of light all over your soul star chakra, all over your energy body, all over your physical body, just cleansing and clearing, cleansing and clearing, cleansing and clearing, and releasing all energy that doesn't belong to you and returning it to the originator with love and grace, and returning all energy that no longer serves you down through a grounding cord, which will just set up at your basic chakra or the root, the bottom of your tailbone, just down into Mother Earth, a beautiful light white crystalline triple helix of light. Just imagining that go down into the center of the earth So anything that no longer serves you just goes down through your grounding cord, down into Mother Earth, and she takes care of it for you. And I literally just release it that way. And that can feel really good, knowing that we haven't got to hold on to anyone else's energy. We can just send it back with love, because that's their stuff to deal with. Yes, we can help them with that if they choose to, but we don't want to take it away from them, because they've got free will, and they need to, or potentially want to learn something from it or to experience it. So that's not ours to take on for them. So just doing that on a regular basis throughout the day can make a huge difference for sure.
What you're saying about, not taking on other people's stuff, it's, yes, you're absolutely right about the free will part. And also, as I keep saying to my empath clients, it's not your job. It's just not your job.
And some of us
Because
will have taken
help,
Yeah, some of us will have taken oaths and vows and agreements and promises and contracts and things like that in possibly this life, past lifetimes, parallel lives, all the things, which means that we do it because that's still there. So I do release all of that in the Akashic records with people as well, to enable them to feel like they've not got to carry the weight of the world on their shoulders and be responsible for everybody else's stuff. Because we're here responsible for ourselves. Yes, we may have a job as a healer or a coach or whatever it may be, but we are the conduit, and we are here to enable other people to do the healing and the learning that they're here to, to experience and to do for themselves.
And that's why I really love teaching the things that I do, for instance, because my favorite client interaction is where they have learned enough to strip off the surface stuff, the easy stuff, and they're coming to me because they need that external view, the things they can't see because they're in the subconscious, so they're not going to be able to see them. But we don't have to wade through the basics. We can just go right in there and say, okay, we're going to fix this one. And that just makes it so much easier for them and for me, obviously. And it's just more fun to do the challenging ones, obviously. So to do what you're suggesting, and of course I teach people to do basic Geotran, just to clear the field, to step back into being who they are, and then that's going to be easier to notice when it's something that's not you. Then you don't you don't need our services quite as much. Maybe.
Well, that's the whole point. My old boss in human resources was, ultimately the idea should be that we're doing ourselves out of a job, because actually that the world of employment is so amazing that you don't need human resources anymore. And it's the same, I think, for healers and coaches. If everyone knew the tools and techniques and could do it for themselves, then that would be amazing. But quite often, as you say, we can't see what we can't see. We're quite often too close to it. So when it does get really tough, having somebody else that can hold up the mirror or just help you with things like that, can be really useful. And to teach you some tools and techniques along the way, for sure.
Even my own teacher, Dorothy, who I started learning from in 1997, I actually worked in her office for 3 years, so that was an experience. And even after that, she'd come in, or she'd get on the phone with me and she'd say, "I'm in something, and I'm so in it, I don't even know what it is. Please, could you have a look?"
And that's it.
And if I come unstuck, I go to one of my colleagues, or I speak to somebody like you, because you have your own specialized skills that are just, it's so exciting to me that people have these different ways.
And I think that's important. It's just like a psychologist would go to another one for supervision, to actually clear their stuff. We do the same ourselves, when we need it. And I think that's right. And you learn something new from everyone else that you work with as well. So they bring something new to the table, I think. So that's always exciting for me, working with different people. Because
we really are here to be individuals. I'm saying that to you, Jill, as an empath, but I'm also saying it to everybody listening. We are here to be individuals. That is our job. Nobody else can be Keir. Nobody else can be Jill. And nobody can really have a happy, successful life if they're constantly absorbing what other people expect them to be. That's just a full assimilation.
I absolutely agree, and I would talk about the corporate mask, if you like. You know, I would put on my suits, my high heels. I'd put on the makeup. I'd put on the kind of the corporate persona, if you like. My husband would call me Miss Corporate when I answered the phone, because I would have the corporate voice, if you like. So
Sure.
we present ourselves in a particular way that we learn very early on. It is how you get ahead. We follow people, don't we? We watch people very closely. We learn by doing that quite often to
We
see
do.
what it is that you need to get ahead in life and business. And so,
Mhm.
quite often, if we're not careful, we're assuming all of these masks that are just not our own. And then it doesn't feel great because we don't feel authentically us, and who we're meant to be. It just
Yeah.
feels like we're hidden somewhere and we don't really know who we are anymore. So,
Yeah.
unpeeling that is a good thing for sure, and learning that actually it's okay to be us and just to be in our own skin and magnificently us. We haven't got to be anybody else. As you say,
That's
that's
right.
who we're here to be, just us.
You are absolutely right. And you know, we each have something unique to offer. We each have our particular place in the circle. If we are taking on somebody else's job, that means that they're not doing it. And it's kind of like doing your kids' homework. You
And we're
know,
always a
you're
poor imitation of someone else, aren't we? You know,
right.
we can
And
be
that's
amazing
the
as
point,
ourselves,
Matt.
but we're always going to come second as an imitation to somebody else because they're them and we can't be them.
That's
Um,
right.
yeah,
That's right. And
yeah,
so, I mean, to me, it's very, very exciting that more and more people are getting this,
yeah,
and that we can, you, me, other people in our line of endeavor, bring these tools to make it easier, to make it faster, to make it more efficient, and
yes,
to really help our clients understand that being who they are, they have permission to be who they are. We encourage them to be who they are. Not something I want them to be or you want them to be, but who they actually are. It's just absolutely fine. I go in with the idea that people are not broken, that people are
yes,
already whole. They've just
absolutely.
perhaps forgotten it for a minute or two.
Yeah, exactly. We don't want to be working from the place that we need fixing or that we're broken, as you say.
No.
We are whole as we are. Yes, there are some things that don't serve us, that were perhaps part of our lesson or things that we needed to experience. But when we're ready to let them go, absolutely, it's time to let them go and just to be free of that, if you like, and to feel
Mhm.
free to be ourselves.
Yeah.
Yeah, without hiding, without the mask.
We just like even a television show, we come to the end of our time and then we go and do the next thing that checks for us. And having said which, are there any little few last words you would like to give to our audience today?
I would just like to say thank you so much for listening. It's been my pleasure. So thank you so much for having me on, Keir. I really appreciate this. And if this has interested you in any way, and you'd like more information, then do reach out and get in touch. Let me know.
Well, it has been such a pleasure having you here today with us, Jill. I really appreciate you taking the time. I encourage everyone to check out what she can offer to you. And of course, you know where to find me as well. If there's something I can do to help you, be you in the now, being your best you. There we are. So thank you all for coming. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next week. Bye.